Okay, still in 9.2 talking about slope. We know slope is rise over run if we have a graph we can look at. But if we don't have a graph, we're not always going to have a graph. They're just going to give us 2 points on a line somewhere. We don't have time to graph them, or the big numbers are too big to fit on our graph. So we need a formula just to calculate it without a graph. So here's our formula. Rise over run is y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. And y2 means the y value from our second point on the graph, and y1 is the y value from our first point on the graph. Okay, same with the x from our second point minus x from our first point. Okay, and now I'm going to figure out 2 points on this line, 1, 0, 4, 2, and let's call this our first point down here, second point here. So this is x1 and y1. Here's x2 and y2 from our second point. Okay. Now let's plug those in carefully, especially first time doing this. You got to kind of think about what goes where. So I'm going to plug in the numbers, y2 minus y1. So the y value from our second point is a 2. And the y from our first point down here is the 0. So it's going to be 2 minus 0. Okay. Now x2 minus x1. X from our second point, 4, minus x from our first point, 1. 4 minus 1, it's going to be a 3. But now I just subtract these, I get 2 over 3. So this has a slope of 2/3. I can visually see that, right? Up 2 over 3. But now here's a formula, mathematical formula to calculate it. Like I say, especially if they don't give us the graph, we don't have time to put the line on the graph. All they give us is 2 points. We can now just plug that into this fraction formula and calculate the slope. Okay, so, and like I said, we verified it visually on this one, but let's say we don't have the graph to do it. Let's look at another one. All they're giving us here is 2 points. So here's x1, y1, and x2, y2. The x and y from point number 2. Okay, and we're going to plug in our formulas. Rise over run. Here's the y2 minus y1, etc. So I'm going to plug in. On top goes the y from number 2 minus the y from our first point. -1 minus 3. Okay, and underneath goes our x from the second point minus x from the first point, the -2. Okay, once you carefully get those plugged in the right place, then it's just a matter of calculating, simplifying the fraction. -1 minus 3 is -4. Minus a negative is plus, so that's +7. So -4 sevenths. Okay, let's do a quick one where you try it, or I'll let you have a minute to try this. All they ask us is the slope between these 2 points. Okay, think about what you're going to do. Do you remember the formula? Okay, here's the formula in case you didn't remember it. And a hint here is, if you get a fraction that can be reduced, make sure you reduce it. They'll want it in reduced form. So on the top, here's the answer. Hopefully that's what you figured out if you paused this and tried it. But y2 minus the y from the first point. Underneath is x from point 2 minus x value from point 1. And to save time, we'll just do the calculation here. We get 2 over 6. And remember our little hint? Yeah, we're going to reduce that to 1/3. Okay, very good.